Okay, I know these benches will look familiar to some of you, especially most of the boys and some of the girls. I wouldn't want to mention anyone's name. We've all sat on there from time to time waiting on the principal to call us into the office. This is the hall down in front of the principal's office. We all remember this, going over into second hall. We've all passed through that principal's office door. Just look for Miss Burton standing in there. I'm pretty sure she's standing in there as Mr. Metter gets ready to make an announcement on the old intercom. We all remember Mr. Perrin's office. I think we'll remember it most because it was in this general area that we had the picket the day they tried to kick Richard Steed off of the student council, and his mother and daddy were meeting in there, and probably if you were to squint you would see Richard and Doug Kidd with their ears against the door trying to hear what was going on. All I'm saying is it worked because he did not get kicked off. We prevailed as we usually did. This was Mr. DeYoung's honor study hall, put the emphasis on honor, and Mike Jones, Janelle, Doug, Richard Steed, Jim Carter, just a bunch of us were in here. And the blackboard was where we used to write the tacky names on there, so we'd have to erase them, and he always got chalk dust all over him. And at some point in this room is where Mike Jones did drop his pants that day, and several girls, I wouldn't want to mention any names, did start clapping and encourage him to take it all off. But this study hall was a real source of enjoyment for a lot of us. Do the old concession stand.
Okay.
We remember that this was the old concession stand. The window was right there. And of course our illustrious Richard Steed, he was our student council president, but you could get your snacks and stuff right there.
Okay, wait a minute.
We all remember Main Hall, and we always remember that we put a banner right up there where that one is for every ball game. Cheerleaders, drill team, and a bunch of us would always make those banners to go up there. Jim Wire Curtis was here. He could probably take it down in one swell swoop. And the first door on the right there was Mr. DeYoung's study hall. And that was the old window that they would roll up and down, the old metal window. I'm sure Richard Steed rolled that up and down a time or two. And you could get your snacks and all, and then you could go in the old study hall there and eat if you wanted to. You could take your lunch or your snacks or whatever. And that was also the room that Kathy Duke used to take her tuna fish sandwich every Friday. After Kennedy was shot, she became a Catholic, and Robert Koppel would take that bite out of it, and she would just scream when she would open it. But I'm pretty sure most of us have had Cokes and chips out of this room. And this is Richard Steed's locker. Some of you may remember it because he always had chips and Cokes and stuff that he had smuggled out of the concession stand, and you could always go to Richard Steed's locker and get you a snack if you wanted it. And most of us didn't even have locks on there except Doug Kidd, and he had a hammer. He couldn't remember his combination, so he used a hammer to get into his every day. And Dennis Crawford was on around the corner there, and we all know what he kept in his. I don't think he has any recollection of the senior year.
Okay.
This is the old boys' bathroom. I know many of us have been pushed in here or carried in here on occasion. I know Joy, myself, Janelle, all of us have been pushed in here at one time or another, and we didn't want to be. And it's pretty well exactly like it was. I do know that Dwayne Sal was in here earlier today, and he said to be sure and tell some of the guys that the water was kind of cold.
Okay. Okay.
This was Miss Steele's English class, and that cabinet right there, no tell, I'm sure she kept some of her reading material and stuff in it, but this happened to be the class that a lot of us were in when we got the news that John F. Kennedy had been assassinated. And I know that was big. That was also on the last pep rally of our senior year, and it was pouring rain. And we never acted up in Miss Steele's class. We had such respect for her that I don't know of anyone that acted up. And of course the old intercom there was reminiscent of our days when T.C. Metter was our principal, and every morning he would get on the intercom and you would hear him going, "Miss Burton, is this thing on?" And Miss Louise Burton was the secretary, and she would say, "Yes, it's on." So we all remember Miss Burton in the office.
Okay.
We're in the girls' bathroom on the main hall, and I'm pretty sure that Sharon Sawyer will remember the fact that on this wall right here was the illustrious feminine product machine. And we were so hoping that it would still be here to give to Sharon, because there is a story behind that. But it's gone, as are a lot of things, but a lot of us spent some time in here. Now, none of us smoked in the bathroom, that was for sure. I'm not exactly sure what might have happened across the hall at the boys. And right back there was a table in Miss Steele's class, and we were doing Macbeth projects, and Joy Austin and myself, Sharon Sawyer, and a bunch of us were in that class, and we were looking at the Macbeth projects right back there on some tables when they came over the intercom to announce that Kennedy had been assassinated. So we all will remember that forever. I mean, to be in all of them, I just want to point it out.
I'm trying to, okay.
Ready? You just
Okay.
tell me. This is the infamous water fountain that Richard Steed, when he and Doug they wrote their names on some desks in Mr. DeYoung's study hall, and he told Richard Steed to do something to get that off of there. So Richard Steed finds the janitor's mop. There was this huge mop, and he soaked it completely at this particular water fountain. And all we heard was Richard's little footsteps running down to Mr. DeYoung's door, and he came in and slapped his desk with it, and we all got wet. But right here is the infamous water fountain that the mop got soaked to clean the desk in Mr. DeYoung's study hall. You want me to hold it so you can get it?
This is one of the pots in the home ec class that they are packing up. Mrs. Gibson would have an absolute heart attack if she could see the condition of this pot.
And you know, she was known to us as Hoot Gibson.
Yes.
And she used to sit and read to us out of an encyclopedia. It only let our minds wonder. That was probably not a good choice on her part.
No. All right.
And I'm sure Janelle Griffin will remember this sink at some point during our home ec days. We had done a breakfast, and Hoot Gibson had taught us how to make oatmeal. It was not a real interesting class. And Janelle and I didn't know. Neither one of us had a garbage disposal at home. And somehow, accidentally, I'm sure, a spoon got down in the garbage disposal, and the switch was flipped, and there was oatmeal all over the entire room. And luckily, Miss Gibson had a strong heart and did not have a heart attack, because she was quite upset that day. But Janelle, I hope you remember this sink right here and the oatmeal incident.
This is the original blackboard in the home ec department. We remember this board well. Got any stories, Mary Kay?
Well, and look at the top there, Joy. There's one of the old screens that the projection
Oh, yes.
club used to
Oh, yes.
used to work with when we had films and stuff. That's quite an antique right there. I'm pretty sure the Smithsonian would want that.
Okay.
We're in the old cafeteria, and I know that some of you all in your mind's eye can remember that this was the serving line, and I imagine if you squint and were to squint and think real hard, you could probably see Gary Milk Can Ammons down at the end there scraping peas off of trays. And we had a lot of our classmates that had mothers who worked here. Dwayne Sal, Sidney Welch, just a bunch of our mothers worked here, and Miss Story was the cafeteria supervisor at the time. Lovely Miss Story. She was an Amazon woman before it was in vogue, is all I'm telling you. But anyway, the old cafeteria.
We're ready. Record.
Okay, you talk about it.
These cabinets are the original sewing cabinets where we kept our supplies when we were doing projects. I remember I started home ec class the second semester of my senior year, and Miss Gibson was quite upset with me because I knew how to cook and sew, and the rest of the girls were struggling with some of the projects.
Well, and I've got a story on that too. When we did the sewing, you know, we had the Necky sewing machines, and I could sew a little bit, but I really didn't like it, and so I managed to take out about 2 of the Neckys, and Miss Gibson told me if I would just not go near the Necky sewing machine, she'd give me a B on my project. So I got a B. I went home and I made it, but I was banned from the sewing machines the rest of the year.
She punished me by making me use the old Singer treadle machine.
Oh yeah,
and everybody else had the
electric
machines.
Yeah, but the calves of your legs always look so good
yes,
when
they
you use those. It was a very ancient, probably rowing type machine they have now.
Okay. We're leaving the main hall now, turning into the breezeway. To the right is where my locker was. Lots of good memories there.
And the old breezeway, a lot of gathering there. That was one place that we could actually change of classes. It was like a madhouse. It was like a freeway or something going across.
And it was loads of fun when it was raining because the guys would push the girls out in the rain.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And make our hair frizz, and they got great enjoyment out of that.
And not that our hair was not big enough already back then. When you're ready.
All right.
Well, as most of y'all remember, this was Mrs. Eck Kelly's speech and drama room, and a lot of us have fond memories that she kept us out of a lot of trouble in here. And probably somewhere in one of those desks would be Sharon Sawyer with sack on her head because she had laughed during somebody's speech, and she had to wear a sack on her head for the whole second semester. And needless to say, Sharon never got in trouble, so those of us that were in the principal's office a lot really enjoyed the fact that she got in trouble. And
she spent some time on the bench.
Oh yeah, and this was the class where Patty Buchanan gave one of her infamous speeches, and Gary Shalnut gave a speech about his brother Alfred, and those of us that were in here I know will remember that. I will not share that because he did get kicked out after that speech. And a lot of plays and all that. This is where I got my lasting nickname of Buana. It had to do with a little play that Doug Kidd and some of us wrote. It had to do with a number 10 wash tub, a brothel, and 4 people in a tub. We won't even go into that, but we got an A. And Miss Kelly, I do remember at that point, she said she'd give extra points for anyone that knew what a brothel was.
Yeah.
And I believe it was Patty Buchanan said it was some type of soup, and she got an F. But there were some of us that really excelled in here. We may not be good at the sciences and math and all that, but we excelled right here. And we all love Miss Kelly. She made us feel special. And the next room down would have been Tweety Bird Hamill's English class. You remember her, Joy, 10th grade English. And this was also the room that Jim Calhoun Carter, in his demonstration speech, taught us about pole vaulting. And a lot of y'all will remember that. I can't go into that on actual film here, but some of y'all will remember that story. But we love Miss Kelly and had such a good time with the senior play and all that sort of thing. We're on second hall now, and This was down on the end where Miss Brewster's class, Miss Kelly's class, and I don't remember anyone else. Do you, Joy? You remember
Miss
anybody?
Wilson.
Miss Wilson was on the other end. She and Miss
Yeah.
Phillips were up on the upper end of Second Hall. But this was a really fun hall. I'll tell you what, a lot of good memories here.
All right.
And now we remember that change of classes, lunch, before school, after school, the boys would gather right here in this corner, and this was their smoking room area. And also, when we were in high school, the buses would come this way to let out kids sometimes, and we had numerous boys that would wait here to see the Ruledale school bus come in. And some of the kids that rode that were the Pittmans and Glenda Dickens also rode that school bus, and some of y'all will remember that. So this corner right here, if it could just talk, it could tell a lot of stories.
Yes, it could. And most of the guys that hung out back here, our mothers would not let us date because they smoked.
Oh yeah, they were evil. They smoked.
Hoods.
That was about the worst vice that you could do when we were in high school, except one of our classmates did keep a libation in his locker. I will not mention any names because he later became a minister. But he had a libation. He has very little recollection of the 10th grade through graduation.
He lived on military, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Daddy had a car lot.
Enough said.
Enough said. This is one of the old clocks in the hall that activated the bells and all that kind of stuff. And needless to say, most of us watched them just to make sure that we got into class before we had to go to detention hall for being late. I mean, that second hand there was very important to us. We would just time it to the very last second. And numerous things were hung on those clocks over the years.
Oh, yes.
Just a number of things. And it wasn't too far from off of the main hall that there were some interesting things released down the hall at one point. They were blown up with air and released. That was always a good thing, and that clock figured very prominently in our school life. That wasn't nice.
This is the breezeway going into the third hall. This part of the school was constructed in our senior
Yeah, we were
year.
about seniors. They brought the 9th grade over from, instead of having them in junior high, they brought them over here, and they became, for a number of years, part of the high school campus, but they changed that up at some point. And I'm pretty sure that there's still, in particular, Joy, some of those 9th grade girls that were kind of the bane of our existence, and we were just horrible to those girls, and they still allude to that till this very day. But
we're sorry.
yeah, and we felt like they were encroaching on us, but
Yes.
yet I realized that I really felt sorry for them because they never got to be the big dogs on campus,
they didn't.
because getting over here at 9th grade, they just didn't get to be the big dog like all the other classes that preceded them. So really, I kind of feel sorry for them now, but not that much.
Okay.
Okay, this is the old biology lab, Miss Holder. We had some great times in here, and the old lab desk there, I'm not sure that's the original one that was here when she was here, but she somehow had some Kool-Aid or something under the lab desk there that got her through the day. We're not exactly sure, but Manuel Montalvo was my lab partner, and I couldn't have gotten through because if he would pin down whatever we were going to dissect, I didn't mind operating on it, but I sure didn't want to pin it down. Who was your lab partner, Joy?
I can't remember her name. She had left school, got married, had a baby, and came back to get her diploma. So she had changed dirty diapers and
Oh, great.
baby
Okay.
throw up and everything.
Oh, excellent.
So she did all the dissecting.
Yep. But I'm telling you that this was a room froth with entertainment is all I can tell you.
Absolutely.
And Miss Holder was such a hoot. We loved her. She had a blue Ford convertible back then, and we thought she was pretty cool. That would be Donna Holder's mother, and Donna's one of our classmates, but we had a lot of fun in this room. And here we are coming full circle from first hall to second hall, and this was just another access to get through back to main hall. And You see the guy going in down there, he's going into the principal's office.
He's not in trouble.
No, I don't think he is. Now, we did not have the candy machines, Coke machines, and all that. We showed you the concession stand earlier. You had to buy it over the counter. There was nothing in a machine.
And it was sponsored by the Student Council.
And of which Richard Steed was the president, remembering back to the picketing days when we got him in there for good. But anyway, passed down this hall many times a day. How about you, Joy?
Oh, yes. This is the chemistry lab.
I think Mr. Wilbanks taught chemistry. Did Mr. Reed teach chemistry?
Yes.
I think he did.
And my senior year, there were so many of us. Of course, these desks were not here. We had tables that held 4 people with a little sink and faucet and everything in the center of them. And along this wall, they had to bring in desk for the overflow. And Mike Jones, God love his little heart, stayed in trouble because back then the girls couldn't wear pants to school. We had to wear dresses, and they had to be, 2 inches above the knee?
Well, they couldn't be above the knee
Okay.
till about our senior year,
Right.
and then they would measure them.
Needless to say, the girls were sitting on stools, and Mike was at a desk, perfect eye level,
And loved
and
it.
loved it. And he got his hand slapped more than once by yours truly and the principal and
And any other girl that was in there. Of course, if you think that bothered him, and if we were in here today, he would try again.
Oh yes, he loved it.
You want me to open it? Okay, we're going into the principal's office now. Neither one of us are in trouble for a change, but we're going in. And I know as you get in there, you're going to be looking for Miss Burton, because, she was our high school secretary for forever, our whole time. And Joy, there was a time when right here, we ordered our senior rings and did our schedules and everything right here. And then some of us waited right here to get into the principal's office when we were in trouble.
Yes, we also turned in our excuses from our mom when we missed a day, right there.
Oh, yeah.
Or
yeah.
when we signed out to leave campus.
Yep, and you
Right
picked
there.
your annuals up in here too.
Yes.
Everything. And Joy, if you will pan back over to the right, that is the entrance to the actual principal's office that a lot of us will remember.
Mr. Perrin.
No, Mr. Perrin was superintendent.
Superintendent, yeah. T.C. Metter,
And
Top Cat.
yeah, was one of them. We had several, if you remember. Mr. Sturgeon, we remember
Yes.
him. Pine Bluff. Benton never did anything.
We kept
as
running
good.
off principals.
Well, that's it. We did.
This is Susie Smith in the principal's office. We were just relating some of our stories from the class of '64, and she made us feel real good because she was a year old then.
Yeah, and we don't like her anymore. But we're just trying to do this. And that's pretty much an overview. I know everybody has stories, but you weren't here today, and the old trophy case and all. And then as you come around, the doors that are going into what's now the cafeteria was our girls' gym, and that's where we had the senior plays. We had all of our pep rallies until our senior year, and the new Cook Fieldhouse came into being, and we were the first class to use it.
You remember when the girls were allowed to not dress out for PE 3 days a month?
Yeah.
And you were so embarrassed because the guys knew why you weren't dressing out.
Right.
So you dressed out regardless.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And nobody understood that I had 4 periods a month. They just didn't
Exactly.
get it. But a lot of fun in there, and that was actually where the trampoline was that Fatback Ferris said that he was on the trampoline team. We've never really believed that because we never knew that. But the trampoline was up on the stage behind the curtain. We don't know why it was there. Don't have
We
any
had our
idea.
senior plays.
Yeah, and everybody loved it during the senior play. But anyway, that's where everything went on at our school, was all the programs, everything. And then by the time that we got to the Cook Fieldhouse our senior year, that's where we had our graduation exercises. They no longer held it in what was then the girls' gym.
Oh, and was it ever hot?
Well, and let's just remember that every place we've been today was non-air conditioned.
Exactly.
It was, to us, it was hot, but it's even hotter now, is all I'm telling you.
We had windows open and doors open and the doors to the outside open. When a big gust of wind would come down the hall, it sounded like cannons going off with those doors to the classroom slamming shut.
Well, and I don't know if you'll remember this or not, but for pretty much our high school years, the Sawyers had a basset hound named Pistol. That'd be Pistol Sawyer. And Pistol would come in the front door because it was open, and he would roam the halls until he found Fred or Sharon. It made no difference. And he would stand outside the door and wait for her to come out, or for Fred if the doors were open. If not, he would stand out there and howl. So Pistol Sawyer, we were just used to him stepping over him in the halls at change of class. It did not bother him. He roamed the halls of Benton High School. But we loved our school, and it's got so many memories for us, as I know it does for you, Joy. And we hate to see it being torn down, but they definitely need some new facilities here, and we're so pleased about that. But they can tear the building down, but they cannot destroy all of our wonderful memories that we had here. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
So I hope you all enjoyed this, and from the class of 1964, we're better than the ones before. We're the class of 64.
Amen.
Hey guys, this is the 1964 class getting ready for their 50th reunion. Does this look familiar? Everybody's feet has gone right through that entrance right there at one time or another. C.W. Lewis Stadium. Oh my gosh, what fun we had there. Starting out when we were probably elementary kids, and I used to live on Richard Street. And we used to crawl through the hedge behind Mr. A.D. Parsons' house and get on that field. We got run off a few times, but oh my gosh, we felt like really big kids at that time. Then we came on with the Bulldogs, and boy, we really thought we were something then. The guys were actually being able to suit up and get out on that field. There was a band. We had everything. And then, of course, by the time you get into senior high, we were the big dogs for certain sure. And we were Panthers through and through. And you're going to see and hear from a lot of people today about different things. And I still say that our group bleeds maroon and gray. And that's why a lot of us have on our maroon and gray today. And if you notice, I've got on the original Spirit button from 1964, so I want to wear that. I want to let y'all know that it is so cold out here, and the wind is just whipping around. So anybody you see today is the hardy souls of the class of 1964. And so probably we'll all be in a hospital ward together with pneumonia when this is over. But we are having so much fun today, and just know that even though they are not using C.W. Lewis Stadium anymore and they've got a brand new complex across town, there is something about walking through that gate, seeing that field, that is like a warm, fuzzy, at-home kind of feeling, because we all grew up here. And I tried to mix old and new. Now, when you go to the ball games over there now, I can assure you that it's not the same feeling for me. But they bling it up. So I've worn the new bling like a lot of the women wear to the ball games now, along with my button and some other stuff. So you're going to see that a lot of these people are going to have on their maroon and gray. I don't care if they use maroon and white, maroon and black, or whatever. I'm telling you, the Panthers are maroon and gray through and through. So I hope you guys enjoy this. You're going to be watching it at the 50-year reunion. And I wish all of y'all could have been here with us today. But this is so much fun. And I just want you to have some memories as you're watching this, and just kind of think back at all the fun you had at C.W. Lewis Stadium. We're now looking out over the parking lot at C.W. Lewis Stadium, and if you all will remember, they don't do it anymore, probably something with the EPA or something, but we used to have bonfires over here on a Thursday night. We also had them on the courthouse lawn. We had gatherings up there before the ball game, and we also had them up on Red Hill, up above high school. And those bonfires were the most fun. Like I said, that was always on Thursday night before the game, and everybody attended those. We would have snake dances through downtown Benton. The spirit was absolutely phenomenal back in the 60s, and especially around our time. And I'm just not sure that they still have that anymore, to that degree anyway. But I will tell you one thing, in the 60s, the Panther spirit was raging. And but just remember those bonfires that we had, and and then looking at the stadium, I don't think there is anybody in our class that at one time or another has not put their feet in that football field. And from the cheerleaders, the drill team, the football, the band, just spectators, that field is so special to us, and those bonfires and all that wonderful spirit and fun that we had back then. So I want y'all, we're kind of giving you this time to start getting those memories going in your mind, and in just a few minutes we're going to go into the stadium and talk to some of these folks, these older looking folks, about their time at C.W. Lewis. Okay, I think all you all will recognize this. This is the old concession stand where the band parents always flip burgers, hot dogs, got you whatever you wanted to eat, your Cokes and stuff. And some of those would have been Scooter Hall's mom, Randy Wood's mom and dad, Robert Fleming's, Dennis Crawford. So many band people, their moms and dads manned the band booster concession stand, and we've all loved that, and we'd all hit it at halftime. Popcorn, great popcorn. And I'm sure in just a little while some of these band guys are going to share some things about their parents that were in the old concession stand. So y'all just remember how good that popcorn was and how good it smelled. Hey guys, we are at C.W. Lewis Stadium, and you can hear all the coughing and stuff. These people are old. Watch it. Dwayne Sal probably is doing something behind my head that I do not want to know about. And if Mike Jones touched me on the tush one more time. And we are having such a good time. Just memories are abounding here. But I want to tell a little bit about the drill team. And that was so much fun. And I'm not saying that I'm going to wear this, but this was our original drill team uniform. And they used those for some years. And I will tell you that they were anything but risque. They were corduroy, lined in white satin, and we had bloomers on under them, big satin panties. And there was nothing risque about that. But Miss Pauline Dobbs is the one that made all the drill team uniforms just about, and also the cheerleaders. And I'm sure Weed will be sharing that with you a little bit later. But these drill team uniforms, it was a real honor to be on the drill team. And Sandra Love Burnett was on the drill team also. Sandra, give us a memory about the drill team.
Well, what I remember is all the hours of practice we had to do. We came here early in the morning and stayed for 3 hours, and then we came in the afternoon and stayed for 3 hours before school started. And I think that all of us, it was so hot that all of us were really, it took a lot out of us, I think, and even though we were young.
And it was hot. I'll tell you, Coke never tastes as good that your boyfriend brought to you after practice. I can tell you that for sure. And our sponsor was Peggy Harville, and she was the first sponsor that actually organized it, uniforms. You had a strict regimen that you had to hold up to, and then we had and we really did, we were a drill team. We did not have canned music, we did not have band music, we had actual drummers. And our three drummers during those years were Ann Perry, Rita McClure, and Sharon Sawyer. And they had their little drums, and we really did it to cadence type things, and we were pretty darn good, weren't we, Sandra? And now, everybody you see here, you may not be recognizing them yet, and you're going to be going around at the reunion checking out name tags, figure out who that was sitting up there in the bleachers. but you're going to be able to do it. And I want you to notice that everybody's got something that represented what they did. And the band people have stuff. We've got Panthers. Sandra, hold up that bulldog. Now that was when we all really started feeling like biggies, I'll tell you for sure. And Alva Mills here has got our Benton pendant. Who's got the West Side pendant? Somebody does. Little Gary Honeycutt back there, little Gary Honeybee. Benton Junior High. And I'll tell you, they went on to do other things with the junior high, and it split at one time, but we were the original Bulldogs, I'll tell you that. Let's go up here and talk to some of our band guys. And I am so pleased to have 3 of our band guys here today. And after I fall down, Robert Fleming will be playing taps. You band guys kind of come down here so we can talk. And today we got Robert Fleming and Scooter Rooter Tooter Hall the doctor. And we've got Randy Wood here. And I know that all you remember how great our Benton band was at the time. I'm not sure that the band has ever been as good as when we were in high school. They're starting to get a little better, but I'm telling you, we had a great one. And I was in the band for 1 year. There was a guy that was in the percussion section that I thought was a little cute, and I thought he needed to be near me. And so I joined the band. But anyway, Scooter and Robert and Randy were in the band, I think probably from the beginning. And I do want you to note Scooter Hall here, Mr. Wendell Hall, with Mr. Penn Tucker's actual band director's cap, and he's actually got his little baton. So the spirit of Penn Tucker is with us today. Scooter, tell us a little bit about band, and also I want you to tell us about, you guys to tell us a little bit about the concession stand and how y'all's parents manned that for years and years.
Well, one of the things I remember the most about band was about how cold it was out here practicing.
And it is today.
And it's a remembrance of those days. And how cold it was in the bandstand. The wind just whipped right through there. But we had a lot of fun, and the most fun trip I think we ever made was to Memphis to the Cotton Carnival.
Can't talk about that. That was the one and only.
Yeah. Scooter, tell how long that lasted. 1 year.
I think that was the last year.
Yeah,
Right,
it
right.
was.
Oh, one of the things I remember is we had a break for lunch or something, and a bunch of us ate in a real nice restaurant, and we also went to a real swanky theater and saw Tom Jones.
Yes, we did.
Which was really cool because we weren't sure it was coming to Arkansas. And I think there was a lot of goings on at night.
I know there was. We'll talk later. Yeah, we're going to have that 2-second rule.
That's right.
Randy, you give us some remembrance.
Oh, well, quite a few. The little white building was down over the hill where we all started in the 7th grade. I think it was a military surplus bill or a bauxite house or something. But anyhow, we started there, and I started out in the percussion with the bass drum. The first year that we marched in the Benton Fair Parade, I was coming down the hill, and Penn Tucker was right in front of me, and they had taken out a telephone pole, but only filled the thing up within about 2 inches of the top. And I stepped in that hole, knocked Penn Tucker down with the drum, proceeded to roll over him with the drum, and I would imagine if we had America's Funniest Videos that it would have been at least in the running. I remember about the 9th grade, we built the bandstand down on this end because otherwise we had to sit in the bleachers, but Tucker wanted a bandstand, so we built that, and I too remember the Cotton Carnival Parade. I also remember we went to Hot Springs and marched in the Christmas parade over there one time, and just about halfway through that parade, here comes a fire truck right down through the middle of the parade, and everybody scatters, and then finally got composed and got back on the road and finished the parade. But being in the band, I only stayed in it through the 10th grade, but I was in it from the 7th grade to the 10th grade, and that's been one of my biggest regrets, that I didn't stay in it the whole time, but that's how life is.
Thank you, Randy. Okay, Mr. Robert Fleming. This would be Robert Fleming, son of Mrs. Charlotte Fleming, that a lot of you all had in 1st grade. Remember that? You may be still stinging on the backside from it. And Robert, you just tell us whatever you want to, your memories of the band.
Well, a lot of the times in the morning is when we had band, and we got to get on the football field once or twice a week. So we had to drive across town to get over here. And generally, unbeknown to most people, there was a race. And it's a wonder that the Benton police didn't pick up about half of us as we came through the middle of town to see who could be the first to leave the high school and make it to the football field. I also remember working in the concession stand. Of course, the parents worked the concession stand, and my mother liked to be really organized, but you get in that concession stand, it didn't always work out that way. We had cold drink containers that they filled up with ice, and the drinks were in bottles, but you poured the bottles into a cup. And the cups, for some reason, were not always the right side up. So Mother liked to get them organized. Of course, Dad did the popcorn. And whenever it would start pouring down rain during a ball game, you'd notice that about half of the band, when Mr. Tucker would dismiss us, would run for the concession stand if their parents were working in there, so they'd get in out of the rain.
And get something free, probably.
And, well, yes, get a hot dog.
And Robert actually has his trombone with him today. Robert always played the trombone. Manuel, you want to share something about the C.W. Lewis and the fun you had here? This would be one Manuel Montalvo.
Yeah, well, a lot of times when I'd come up here, being raised over at Bauxite, we never was familiar with all these big boys that over at Benton playing ball. But when we got over here and got to see these old boys playing ball over here, one day Coach Harden asked me if I'd like to play. I said, no, I can't play. Mama says these big boys too big. I can't play with these big boys. They hurt me. But anyway, I enjoyed coming to this field many times. Enjoyed all the games.
Thank you, Manuel. Okay, now we're going to go on down here. Mr. Gary Honeybee Honeycutt. He's got him a Benton Junior High Bulldog pennant. Gary, share some of your memories. Short.
You sure you want to do this?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Get ready to cut when I tell you when.
First of all, I'd like to just mention a few names. Clay Fulcher, Melton Fulcher, Miss Watson, and on and on and on. I wasn't the best fellow, I wasn't the best student, I wasn't the best anything in junior high school, but I remember most probably Mamie's store, because that's where us smokers went to smoke. Some of you smokers may have gone down there to get a sandwich, but we went to smoke.
I'm getting out of the way. There could be a lightning bolt out of heaven. I don't know.
Hell. But anyway, we sit here at what used to be, I guess, C.W. Lewis Stadium. Now I don't know what it is exactly. But I look across and I see a sign that I think is so appropriate to the junior high school. It says, Benton Public Schools Alternative Learning Center. That could have been on there when I was a student. Thank you.
Yes, it was a remedial group for sure. Excuse me, sir.
Oh.
I know your years at the TV station didn't work out for you. Sandra has already shared. Next up is Alva Mills. Alva was always one of the good-looking boys in our class.
Well, I don't know about that, but anyway, I remember going to the games, going to the pep rallies, enjoying the heck out of it, and we always scream for the Panthers, win or lose. So that's pretty well it.
Okay. Next, wait a minute. I gotta talk on that. Next up, we have the Honorable Douglas Carroll kid coming up. And now, Doug never did really play sports. That wasn't his venue. But I will tell you that he was the premier writer in the Bulldog Herald in junior high, and he did write a lovely column, sports related, called Splinters from the Bench. And so I know some of you guys will remember that. But anyway, yeah, the splinter part. Okay, Doug, take it away. Oh my God, we may be having to delete some of this.
I was just sitting here thinking that this drill team uniform. Leave it alone, Doug. Leave it alone. Never mind. Never mind. I really enjoyed coming to the games. I did get to, even in high school, I was a sports editor for the Panther Tales, so I got to ride on the bus with the players a lot. And got to, especially in junior high. Of course, I was a manager in ninth grade, and a lot of good memories here. When I'd write my articles, the disappointing thing that I couldn't use some of the descriptions of the players. I couldn't use Leonard and Texaco and Boogerweed and Snake and CW and Cootie and Goot. They wouldn't let me use those names, so I was a little limited. But I do remember that this is where the Koppel Keepler originated. And of course, everyone knows about that. So, anyway, it was a very good experience, and I'm not going to go much longer because I'll get in trouble.
Thank you, Douglas. And some of you all know him as Burrhead. Okay, next up, we got another one of the class beauties, the lovely Miss Weta Watkins Wright here. And Weta was one of our good cheerleaders, and golly, Weta was a cheerleader forever. We don't know who she bought off. But anyway, Weta was one of our cheerleaders, junior high and high school. And Weta, share some memories of your cheerleading days, girl.
Well, when I was just a wee girl, like the spring before the first grade down in West Side, my family and I moved to Benton from Bauxite, and we moved into a house just about a block or a half block from C.W. Lewis Stadium. So I was lucky enough to have the stadium really close, really accessible, and my dad was a big football fan. So we came to games every time the lights came on. From the first grade through the 12th. And even if we didn't come, we could hear what was going on if the windows were open. So, yeah, the announcer, you could hear everything, every play. I was lucky enough, Dad would come to watch the football, I'd come to watch the cheerleaders. But I was lucky enough to become a cheerleader in the 7th grade and was that through the 12th and enjoyed it all. I guess one of the big memories that I have of the stadium was coming over on Friday afternoon. We got out of school early, came over on Friday afternoon and decorated the goalpost. We would start with those big packages of crepe paper that I don't think you can buy anymore, cut them into strips, kind of twist them and make our own streamers and decorate both ends in the school colors of course, our home colors and whoever we were playing. This is one of the skirts. You want to hold that up? This is one of the cheerleader skirts, and we were remarking on how heavy they are. I know this weighs 5 pounds at least. And
when they got wet, they were even heavier, Weta, during that rain game.
Yeah.
And Miss Dobbs made all these for everybody.
She did. She actually... she was quite an artist, did a great job. So that's about, and here's one of our letters that the cheerleaders wore on our sweater.
And Weta, what's that necklace you have on there?
This is my original cheerleader necklace, so it's more than 50 years old. Still looks pretty good.
It really does. Well, and you do too, Weta. I will say that. You know, I will say that. And Weta was talking about the crepe paper. You say crepe paper to kids nowadays, and they're not going to know what the heck you were talking about. And the drill team girls, and Sandra knows this, right before football season, we sat down in the middle of the old gym floor. We had our scissors, and we each had to buy our own crepe paper. School furnished absolutely nothing. And we cut those strips. We made our own pom-poms. They were not store-bought, nothing like that. And all you did was pray that it wouldn't rain on a game night because it would run you'd have maroon and everything all over you. And so people just don't understand that nowadays. We had homemade uniforms, we had homemade pom-poms, the whole deal. Little Miss Paula Wise Fontanelle. Tell us a little bit, whatever you want to, girl.
Okay, well, this is the little cap in junior high, and my parents were like Wheaties. My dad was a big Panther fan, and I started coming to the Panther games when I was a little girl. And I also sat in front of the cheerleaders. I would get in front and jump up and down and yell and scream and act like I knew what I was doing and what was going on.
Can you demonstrate that for us?
You just don't remember because I did. And then when I got in junior high and senior high, I always came to the games. I always sat right in front of the cheerleaders so I could yell and scream and jump up and down very good. And then my girls, Christy and Carrie, were in when they were in high school. I was here for those games and sat in front of the cheerleaders. Yelled and screamed and jumped up and down.
Well, now,
it was fun.
You had girls that were cheerleaders, didn't you?
Yes,
Well, okay,
yeah.
then. It may have skipped a generation.
But hey.
But this little cap is what the pep club in junior high wore, and we had to wear those dinky little things. And but we wore them to all the ball games. It was just they didn't have a drill team or anything then, and so the pep club, that was about as good as you could do if you weren't a cheerleader. So we all wore those little caps, and that is an actual cap from back then. Now we're going to get into some of the rough and tough guys, and I do want to share with you all this. I'm still quick for an old woman. This is the original scorecard from the Catholic High game, our senior year. And I want to read off to you the lineup with their weights. Our senior year. I didn't do that with the drill team or the cheerleaders. I want that understood. Okay. Robert Koppel, number 10, 165. Robert, I want to see you squirming at that table about right now, bud. 22, Glenn Hockersmith. He was not a senior, but Glenn played, and he weighed 175. 1, Dwayne Shellnut. 190, number 39. Then we got Greg Gutentight Gatton, 56, 165. Buddy Northern, 70, 195. Sam Ed Gibson, 73, 180. 1 Robert Wills, 77, 170. How you doing on that, Robert? You in that ball game? 1 Greg Kincaid, 82, 185, and 1 Ken Brown, 88, 170. Michael Jan Jones was not on this. I don't know what he had done, but he should have been on this, is all I can tell you. The coaches were Tom Harden, Winky May, and Bob Clark. The managers were 1 David Tadpole Nelson, Bob Gatton, and our colors, of course, maroon and gray. Now, those were our senior people. Okay, we've got, oh, Lord, I don't know. Okay, Robert Wills, tell us a little bit about football and what you remember.
All right, I guess earliest memories are being in junior high and practicing on this end of the field down here, and it was a real dust bowl. Every play was whatever yards and a cloud of dust. I also remember before they built the band bleachers down here, there were, we call them the dumps, and we got to run those every once in a while if we got in trouble. My favorite memory, though, from high school was playing Catholic High. Jimmy Fisher blocked a punt late in the ball game. We ran a few plays, and then we kicked the field goal, won the ball game 3-0. Yay, Rusty Kaufman. And that's about it for me.
I've just had an update from our cheerleader Wita over here, and she has discovered on the back of the program we have Michael Jan Jones, number 50, 200 pounds. Wait a minute, Sal, you're going to laugh on the other side of your face. Okay, then we have one D. Sal, 85, 190. So, see, you didn't get by on that. Okay, well, all I'm telling you is all you ladies may want to go into the restroom. Mike Jones is fixing to have the microphone.
My God, I wanted to be a cheerleader so bad. I tried, but they just wouldn't let me do it. Let's stop that. But I guess the one of the best plays I had was I picked up a fumble in a game, and I was running down the field with it, and I heard these guys behind me, so I just threw the damn ball. And Coach said, "Why'd you do that?" And I said, "Well, I didn't want them tackling me. Hell, I'm not a running back." And then I got kind of knocked unconscious one night out there, and I was doing pretty good, I thought. And Coach came out, and he said, "Well, how are you doing?" I said, "I think I'm okay." I said, "How's the crowd taking it?" And he kicked me in the head. And that's child abuse back then. But oh yeah, but there was a lot of memories that you can't transfer over into the public because it's just not good. But but we did have a good time, and we won a lot of games, and we played hard. And Dwayne and I, we was playing a team in Morrilton, and they had a person of color that we wasn't, and the Coach Smith said, just every time you snap the ball, tackle him. And by the time about the third quarter, Leroy was backing way on up. He didn't even want the ball. But I almost didn't get a letter my senior year because you have to get so many quarters in, and I got kicked out of more games than I played in, just about it. And that's about all I better say, I guess.
And Mike, is that like one of the helmets that you guys had? And explain about all that.
The more paint that you had from the other team, the harder you was hitting, and now then I think that's called concussions.
Look at the inside of it.
Yeah.
I mean, no protection whatsoever. That could explain a whole lot with this group, is all I'm telling you. Hey, Robert, hold up that West Side Bulldog football jacket. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, the girls, this was the most wonderful thing that you could ever get, was a football jacket from a guy. And if you saw a girl with a football jacket on, you could only figure out maybe what was going on. Yeah.
Nothing was free.
No, thank you, Mike, for that little commentary. And next we got Dwayne Leonard Limbo Sal. And he played football all during the time we were in school. So, Dwayne, you share a little bit with us.
It'll be very little. I just want to say a few things about the memories of coming onto this field. You're looking over to the right-hand side at that gate where we entered the stadium. Crowds were always screaming, and of course, we all huddled up and we all came out side by side. But I never will forget one of Mike's favorite stunts. As we went by the referee, he always said, "Hey, ref, who's going to win tonight?" And, of course, that always set the stage for the penalties. But anyhow, I will concur with Robert Wills. One of my favorite memories was that 3-0 victory over Catholic High. But looking back at the football team and the coaches and the camaraderie that we had out there, there's an awful lot of memories that you just really can't share. You look out at that field and you remember the certain plays, you remember the things that were said. I remember basically everything Mike did. I tried to keep him out of trouble on the field. I do want to go back and reminisce just a little bit about a score of a football game. I think we played in Little Rock at Little Rock Central. There's a few of us that still hold deep, hurting memories of that game. I won't mention anybody's name, but I think he knows who he is, and he's probably sitting in this audience right now. But anyhow, I just want you to know that we forgive you, that interception is always forgotten, and we'll never bring it up again.
One last thing, if you're looking at this little badge that we had on our football jackets, it says undefeated. Well, that was in district play. We did have the one defeat from Little Rock Central. However, there were a couple of ties in there. But the one thing that I remember the most about that football team is that there was only 45 points scored in 12 games against the defense. So as you narrow that down, it's 3.5 touchdowns per game. And points, touchdowns, okay. And also, I do want to throw this in. It has nothing to do with football, but I am glad that I'm probably the last one to speak here because I don't remember any of these people.
Hey, Dwayne, hold up that senior high football jacket. Some of you all will remember that. And like I said, those were prized possessions of the boys and the girls, and they got these they were handed out like big prizes at the football banquet. They got their jackets at that time. And, it's interesting to know that the first game was played in 1934 right here. The last game was played on October the 26th, 2012. And I am just so glad that the Parks and Recreation Committee from the city of Benton has taken it over, and probably for about the next 4 or 5 years they will be taking care of it. They're going to open it for soccer teams or whatever. They let us in today. They don't know us, so they did let us in. I told them, I said, we don't need any supervision or anything, and the only damage we'll probably do is somebody walks into a bleacher with their walker and dents it. So, that's all we got to worry about. And another little tidbit about one of our classmates, Laura Rainey Russell, her mother, Miss Arlene Rainey, and I'm pretty sure that so many of you all will remember her, she bought one of the first reserved tickets that was ever available at this stadium. She still holds a reserved ticket today. She's in her 90s, and we honored her several years ago as being the oldest reserved ticket holder in the history of Benton, Arkansas. Also, when you look back over here to the right between the goalpost and the big gate to go out, another one of our classmates and football players, Sam Ed Gibson, his daddy worked for Ashby's Funeral Home. And at that time, Ashby's had the only ambulance service in Saline County. And Mr. Sam Gibson would sit in the ambulance down there. I mean, that was real incentive to not get hurt, wasn't it? Yeah, that was a good picture right there when you came in. But he would sit in the ambulance and watch them play because Sam Ed was playing. But that ambulance was ever present down there. And we've seen him leave. If they had an emergency call during the ball game somewhere else, well, the ambulance would go. I don't know what you guys would have done anyway. And when Mike was telling that about Coach Harden kicking him in the head, I remember one time in junior high, Mike got knocked out again, probably of his own doing, and all we saw was a little red-headed woman taking about 4 steps at a time to get down that field to him. If you think you're going to stop Margie Jones from getting down there to check that boy, you're out of your mind. But I just hope that everybody has enjoyed this. And oh, wait, Randy Wood's got a word. Oh, do you want the microphone? Pass that up there to Randy.
Someone asked me a minute ago, well, what are they going to do with the stadium? And I said, well, I guess they decommissioned it, but Scooter came up with a much better statement. He said, no, they desanctified it. So that's this was definitely sanctified ground.
One more? Yeah. Since I had junior high, I think it only appropriate that I mention our concession stand queen and our favorite English teacher, Miss Little, who's gone on to be with the Lord. And the time that I got in trouble, opening popcorn bags, instead of sticking my hand in, I blew in them. That wasn't appropriate.
And we didn't even have hand sanitizer then. No, we don't want to know that at all. Not at all. Yeah, I mean, so many wonderful teachers and all. I mean, we always had the support of our teachers and everybody. I mean, our parents were always very supportive of the football team and all the girls and our activities. And really, they came to the games, y'all. I go to the new stadium, and I may be a little prejudiced, but I'm telling you, I don't feel that spirit there. People just aren't like they used to be about that, because we used to fill this place up. And I believe the largest crowd that was ever here was around 5,000 and something. And that happened a few times, not many times. But it happened during our time. And then
had all seats around there on the Catholic High game.
Yep. And then when Benton started playing Bryant, which we didn't, because I think they only had 2 players when we were in school, but then they would fill it up when it was Benton's time to come. And I kind of regret that they've gone to Little Rock for that game, because it was a wonderful time when you got this place packed out for the Benton Bryant game. But some of us that still live here, we still have our reserved seat tickets. We still go. We still support the Panthers. But it's not the same as when we were in the midst of it. And I know so many of you guys are going to remember that, and I want y'all to kind of get some of those memories started in your mind. And has anybody else got anything to say? I appreciate, not in public, not in public. Okay, let's give them that cheer about the 64 class. We're better than the ones before. We're the class of 64. Go Panthers.
Athletes, scholars, and whores. We're the class of 64.
We don't know what you're talking about. You write that down, Mike, and I'll gladly read it.
Okay, we've gone way too long. We should have stopped with Robert Fleming. Oh, but anyway, we're better than the ones before. We're the class of 64. Okay, now y'all join in. We're better than the ones before. We're the class of 64. Go Panthers! Okay, Wesley's now going to pan the football field, and we're looking from the Benton side, and this is what we saw every Thursday and Friday night growing up. And you boys can remember running down that field, cheerleaders doing their cheers, drill team marching, homecoming royalties, or just out there in general to meet your boyfriend after the game. Or when you were smaller, you ran out there and played at halftime or something and before you got run off the field. So that field looks so much like it always did. Now our scoreboard's gone, but that's what it looked like every Thursday and Friday night when you sat up here in these stands or you were out there on that field. No matter where you were, many, many memories.